fit the comp so well. It was the essence of a fifth pick on the red side. And actually, we haven't discussed this, but I believe both teams electing to be on the red side. So the way it worked was because they finished second, Daiwo's got side choice, first game, third game, fifth game. That left Legacy with side choice second and fourth games. Everyone chose the red side. So while we do end up with a standard red to blue side shift, it's all on the back of people really valuing that fifth pick, and it came up big for Legacy.
Yeah, it did. Now Dials are over on the red side, so we'll see if that makes a difference. As Cassidy is the third ban there for Legacy. Last one coming through for the Direwolves as well. And I wonder what they want. They're going to take their time with it, but it is standard. Yep.
So it's, I believe, the same exact bans. Maybe just trusting themselves to navigate the champion select. You have to say misfire in the champion select in game 1 from Legacy. Not necessarily a true misfire from the Direwolves, but that last pick, it really undid a lot of what they were putting together.
Yeah, and there's Rek'Sai going to go over to Carbon, you have to think there for Legacy. That does leave Soul Strikes his Jarvan if you want to, but that's Sion totally fine in that game as well.
I feel like Kassadin's the new champion and picks and bans that's come through, so of course it leaves open the Rek'Sai, which was banned away by, I believe, Direwolves last game, even on the blue side. Now Rek'Sai goes through very flexible jungler, potentially top laner, although largely untested outside of OMG's going. It's a good first pick, and Sion still up. Someone's going to snap him up.
Yeah, I mean, they might look to take him and actually put together the Sivir Sion. Tallywacker picked up Sivir's first win in quite a while in the OPL, but it is Sivir Sion. We've seen this on day 1 Legacy versus Chiefs. Now the Direwolves are going to have a go at it.
Yeah, it was Chiefs go that in that case, but now Legacy will have very haunting memories of that game where they were just powered down by Chiefs. In our first game of the OPO, fast forward all the way to our first semi-final, Sion, his win rate's dropping today. The regular season 75%, he's 0-2 on the day.
Yeah, I mean, Sion's not had a good start so far, but we'll have to see how he works out. Again, probably a jungle pick there for Soul Strikes, and looked again totally fine, even with some slight changes on 5.6, but Legacy now looking for their next 2 picks, and a lot open here still.
I mean, in terms of things being open, let's assume it's a jungle pick. It's surprising to see teams move away from the likes of Zac. We saw Naya from Fortnite bringing that. That's another very strong champion this patch, loves the Cinderhulk item. Sion being the jungle, it's fine, but you kind of saw it kind of preyed upon in this last series where Jarvan did so much early skirmish work, specifically focusing on Sharp. And Sion, he got tanky, but that's all about he did.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fine, but it needed a bit more damage. But Legacy have gone with Rumble Ezreal as their next 2 picks, so pretty flexible on the Ezreal. Rumble presumably there for the top lane, but very different stuff. Not a bruiser, not a tank, a mage here for Minky in the top.
Not a lane-dominating champion either. Can definitely be preyed upon. Does okay in a 1v2, but is very prone to tower dives, a bit like Ryze was a few patches ago. Such an early priority on the Ryze, just a big surprise to me.
And we'll see how that moves through here. So we've got the Ezreal done through, and it is Xerath back for Sharp, and Chuff is going to get his Thresh.
And Chuffer on Thresh, that's an excellent champion to combo with Xerath, because even if he is being assassinated, like we saw a couple of times by the Annie coming out from Chuffer in the first series, sorry, Ejim in the first series, now you have the potential reposition coming through from the Dark Passage. So I do like that coming through. Always been one of the power picks in the OPL. The Thresh has actually been very, very strong. Surprising it's waited till game 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's been one of Chuffer's best champions as well. So plenty of good stuff going on. That does leave Leona Annie as champions that Ejim have already played. But oh my god, he does it again. Cannon is in there, but that's the Ejim Alistar.
And I feel like suddenly we see a lot of similar champions coming through from Legacy to that fateful, massive comp they ran earlier in this week. There's the Alistar. The Ezreal was in that game as well. We talked about an Alistar Ezreal lane as a bit of a strange one. The Rek'Sai, I believe, also on their team coming through from Carbon. So a lot of similarities, and we remember the burning that Rumble was able to do. So they're just bringing it back. We thought, okay, why did they show this strategy? They're not going to be able to repeat it. Maybe it's not going to be the level 2 shenanigans, but a lot of similar picks coming through from Legacy.
Maybe, and interestingly enough, Choo Choo is presumably getting the cannon here. We'll have to wait to see how it really shakes out. But the Direwolves do have one more pick to think as well. I think Sharp right now is thinking, guys, please don't let me get killed by the Alistar. I've seen what they do to mid laners, but we're going to have to give someone another champion, and it might be a carry champion for Perfection. It would make a lot more sense versus something like the Nautilus that he played last game.
And I really like the Fizz against true tanks like Maokai. Of course, you can just power people down with your W, max that Sea Stone Trident, I believe, and just auto-attack people down with health stackers. But this is not going to be a health stack. It's going to be a Rumble. He's going to be going largely offensive. So an offensive mage versus mage battle in the top. That's really interesting to me. It's not something I've seen in terms of AD Fizz laning.
No, but it is Perfection playing a carry champion. He loves his mages in the top side. Has played, what, one Aurelia game and not really any tank games. Doesn't play Maokai. Prefers, you know, the Hecarim, the Cannons, the Morganas even, and now Fizz.
such a strange competitive best-of-5 where Maokai hasn't seen a shot in the first 3 games of a best-of-5. So much priority in other regions, but Sion is the big story in the OPL, continues to be picked despite falling through. I like the mid lane Kennen. Kennen can struggle in mid lane because he doesn't have a lot of wave clear unless he wants to use his Lightning Rush aggressively and uses W to clear waves, especially compared to Xerath. A bit night and day in terms of wave clear there. What he does offer you, though, when his flash is up, another champion that can really deal with Xerath can just try and aggressively get in, get the stun down, try and kill that Xerath in transition.
Yeah, while we move into our next game here, we actually had a competition recently on our recent streams. You might remember taking some screenshots of the last, 3rd and 4th game Dragons of our last OPL day. Well, we have good news. Some people got to win 600 RP, which was the prize to give away. We're happy to announce the competition winners now as well. So congratulations to the Rage Killer League Beast Mode, Mao Selfang, Red. Oh, that's hard to read. You get that one.
Red something and Mr. Heckle.
Yeah, congratulations to you all there, of course. Please collect your RP and good work getting those dragons in early.
Absolutely. They were the 5 fastest. We've got plenty of applications, so thank you very much for coming in, but only 5 winners.
And of course, keep your eye out for any future competition that might be out in the OPL stream, because we're going to like giving you guys free stuff, and you seem to like it as well.
I mean, free stuff, Beige Time. You take it. And in this game, the free thing is, it could be a free win when we're talking about this Alistar, because it certainly looked like it when we saw it 2 days ago. I just can't see a scenario where the level 2 gank pays off, though. Giving that level 2 to the Alistar and then coming and punishing the mid laner sounds like a perfect strategy, because basically what they did with the Leona last game, Alistar, even more initiation options, but I have to expect Sharp is going to be playing so defensively in this mid lane.
Yeah, just doesn't want any sort of roam coming through. And the other thing about Kennen that we didn't quite touch on yet is that one of the nice things is he has very early CC access. Level 2, I believe, is the earliest he can realistically CC. Level 1 technically with the W, but, you know, in the early levels, Kennen can lock you down as well.
I think in terms of cooldowns, it's not possible at level 1. I mean, if you get 12 auto attacks and get double procs, maybe. But as you mentioned, at level 3, at level 2, it's definitely a possibility with the Lightning Rush and the W, the Electrical Surge, I believe. Really racking my brain for Kennen skill names. That's a scary thought, because there's plenty of CC coming from other areas. I mean, Sharp, he was playing defensively last game by necessity. It's going to probably be the same story here.
You have to think so as well. And I guess the other thing to think about moving into the early stages of this game is, are we going to see another lane swap attempt? The other thing is, you know, you can't just pack up and leave the bottom lane as EGM as Alistar. If you want to run around, you have to make sure it's safe that Tallywhacker is able to secure some farm. We've already seen that Perfection's a great person to swap on, especially on a champion like Fizz. Have to think they're going to try and unlock the EGM roam again.
And one of the reasons we don't see Alistar is a very volatile 2v2 laner. Okay, you ping level 2, you get the Gromp experience or something, ping level 2 and go for an all-in. That's a possibility. But in a long laning phase against a Thresh, Thresh just has so many more options. As a ranged champion, he actually has disengage options with the Flay, of course, and then engage options, and just is so much safer in terms of laning. So you do want to look for that 2v1 if you're Legacy. It opens up the roam. You know, your AD carry goes top fast, freezes the lane. Plenty of time for your Alistar to go and influence other lanes. Can pick up the solo experience on Gromp like we saw already. They're going to look for the lane swap. I mean, basically, Direwolves will be expecting a lane swap. They're going to be trying to account for it, get their own wards down, and try and force the 2v2. If it is a 2v2, that's a big win for Direwolves, because it makes the Alistar that much more accountable, like you said. You can't just up and leave. Bard players, I'm looking at you. Your lane and roam, you have to engineer a roam opportunity, and that's what a 2v1 does.
Yeah, and so much of this series already has been about the early level 1 action, especially those swaps. So no different moving into this crucial 3rd game for both teams. Remember, both teams are up 1-1 right now. Winner of this game, so important to determine momentum, because all of a sudden you're 1 game away from moving to the finals. And
to me, a 2-1 and a best of 5 is a bit like having 4 dragons. There's always that threat that you're going to be winning. There's 2 games where the enemy is 1 game away from a lost series, and as you mentioned, a potential final route into the winner of tomorrow's game between the Chiefs and Immunity. So a lot on the line. 2-1, so much of a psychological victory, and it's either going to be Legacy with a lot of momentum, 2 wins in a row, or Direwolves returning to their Game 1 form and really coming through.
And you know what? I'm sure the Legacy fans are smiling, seeing that Alistar again. We're about to see it again real soon. He was going to hop into our 3rd game between these 2 teams. Legacy won the last game. Direwolves, of course, taking the first, and now it is all squares and move into Game 3 of our best of 5. The EGM Alistar is back, though, and he wreaked havoc on Monday.
It's a story of comfort on both sides. Comfort for Sharp in this. Xerath is already 4-0 up, and remember, 4-0 between the OPL regular season and the earlier victory. But EGM's Alistar, it's a favorite from 2014 World international wildcard. And from earlier this season. So Direwolves, they're invading aggressively. It's all about scouting out this lane swap for both teams.
Yeah, and I love this big stack from Direwolves, getting the early vision down, making sure you have vision, but Carbon sneaking into the top, so they're going to check with a very standard deep ward there in the top, looking for a lane swap, and both teams super proactive in the early level.
There's so many possible outcomes when it comes to lane swaps. Do you bluff a lane swap? Do you go for one? Do you just go to a standard lane and hope the enemy team thinks you're going to lane swap? So many mind games upon mind games, even with these extra wards for vision.
Well, Legacy are going to get spotted now. Great vision in a big long diagonal, snaking from mid all the way down to between the tier 3 and tier 2 tower. So plenty of vision there. Legacy know they can't really go to that side, but Truffer and King are already in the bottom. No, never mind, they do recall.
I mean, the big issue for Legacy is how do you enter lane in the bottom lane without being spotted? So they know that the AD carry and support haven't made their way down to bot, unless perhaps they rushed there and got there very, very early. Only Rek'Sai showed himself in terms of vision, trying to get that aggressive ward for Legacy in the top lane. Will they get the lane swap? At the moment, it looks like no.
Yeah, I mean, Direwolves are going to walk there, so it should be standard lanes there in the top side at least. But we do have Alistair on the Gromp right now. I wonder if Ejim is going to try something out. He's actually doing it with Tallywacker. They might just share the XP here, move into the standard lane. And it looks like, yes, they'll give Tallywacker level 2, actually.
Yeah, Tallywacker's the one to get level 2. It's the exact opposite of what we saw in the OPL 2 days ago. So Sharp, he's going to play behind defensively. I prefer this situation just because bluff the engage, bluff the... I mean, in this case, of course, Alistair's already entered lane, but just add that extra kind of seed of discontent and just give Tallywacker the Gromp for laning.
And a nice little adaptation there from Legacy, knowing that, okay, we can't move in. They're going to spot us in a lane swap. So if we're going to take it as Carbon, double on Burrow there for the knock up there. Now King going to get knocked up as well. Carbon does take a tower. Good bit of damage moving in, but flashes burn everywhere in the top lane.
A surprising amount of damage. I expected the follow-up flash pulverize to come through from Ejim, but thought better of it. Holds onto that cooldown. The minimum, though, the summoners are in the advantage for Ejim because Chuffer, he's used his flash.
And Carbon, a good little bit of pressure. Another nice adaptation by Legacy in the early game as we settle into a very uncommon mid lane matchup. Xerath versus Kennen. Your thoughts, Papa Smithy?
I mean, Kennen can't really prey upon Xerath because Xerath has so much range. He's getting good auto attack trading in now, but in general in this laning phase, it should be pretty difficult for Choo-Choos to be able to get a lot of auto attack harass. He does have the summoner spell advantage, having Ignite for the offensive options, but as you can see, as a 550 range auto attack champion, doesn't have any ranged wave clear, he will struggle to control it, especially as the levels come through for Sharp.
Yeah, just has to trim as aggressively as possible with the Doran's Blade and try and keep them back. So Sharp going to feel pressure right now, but plenty of good CSing options on the turret. Now Soulstrike going to come around, a good zoning Q there coming through, but Choo-Choo's now going to rush the other way and try and get out. He's going to look for the stun to Sharp. A great answering stun though coming through, and Choo-Choo flashes over, almost gets another stun. The red buff not quite enough, but nowhere to really go. Carbon's actually coming up and trying to save him here. Choo-Choo just wants to buy time and potentially get an execute. Carbon has run off Sharp, but Soulstrike is going to flash over, pops the W and gets first blood.
Very good knowledge of that W range to be able to pick up the kill. It looked like the execute would be successful. It isn't. And Sion from the jungle, he might be tankier than we expect because he's got a bit of a snowball.
And importantly, Xerath, that was another great pulve comes through there for Ejim, getting both of them through the spell shield there as well. I think very cleverly headbutting the support and just throwing out the pulverize.
I guess we shouldn't be surprised when Ejim has excellent Alistair mechanics, up there with Aphromoo, I think, in terms of being able to really perform on the cow. Only a couple of supports that really try it because it's so high risk, high reward, but he makes it look easy.
Carbon coming through, and now with Minky Whale actually in the bottom lane, but
it's still Sion.
Yeah, he is still Sion, very tanky. Hasn't gone back to spend the bonus gold that he got from the first blood, but still looking fine so far. And the bottom side's very interesting. It's our top lane matchup, of course, swapped down towards the bottom side of the map. Right now, though, Fizz getting ahead on CS.
I mean, Fizz, basically, as Rumble in the early levels, you always have to respect the enemy top laner, and none better than Fizz when it comes to the ability to do a lot of early damage. Just going to max that Seastone Trident. It'll be interesting to see when the damage trades come through, specifically around level 5 and level 7, whether either of them has kill pressure.
Interesting to note that, again, another good combo lands for Ejim, continuing to apply pressure into a reasonable lane here from Sivir Thresh. Not a massive aggressive lane, but Sivir having a little more trouble than I thought she would.
I mean, look, there's the range disadvantage, 550s versus 500. So the auto attack advantage is with the Ezreal, has plenty of poke coming through. The headbutt pole, though, sets up a lot of consistent damage coming through from the Ezreal, and they have to respect the ranges coming through from the Alistar.
Some nice laning so far in the early stages, especially for the Legacy duo, but Choo-Choo's doing well as well here in the mid lane, even on CS as Minky flashing over once Perfection for dead here as he lines up 1Q, lands the next Harpoon, as Perfection will get slow, but no follow-up ulti for the kill.
And the levels are always interesting. Whenever we see the Rumble versus Aurelia matchup, we talk about level 4 being different to level 5. It's much the same situation with Rumble. Has to play passively, has to seed lane advantage for the early 3 to 4 levels, but level 5, that's when the Flame Scepter really starts getting going in terms of damage, especially in the danger zone. So far, the heat control by Minky, well, it's been spot on.
Yeah, he's a stellar Rumble player, and really on show there in the trades. Is down in CS as a result, but catching up nicely. His Perfection is forced to back. He does have his teleport, he'll burn it, but Carbon is on top of a very early Dragon.
So the Dragon has been started by Carbon. Now that Fizz really can't exit lane, only had to teleport back, but now has to deal with the minion wave. We'll see how fast this Dragon will come. Minky, well, of course, the Flame Splitter does reduce damage to these objectives, so it will be a slow Dragon.
Yep, they will take it eventually, and smart stuff to take it away before the swap back down would potentially happen. So steal away the first Dragon. You have to think Minky will even return to lane here safely, almost level 6 as well. Again, falling behind in CS, but Rumble looking fine so far.
I mean, doesn't have the goal to be able to pick up the first big purchase.
Soulstrike's here as well, actually. Flay coming back, better teleport. Moving in, they're actually trying to bait it. Shuffer could be in trouble, gets headbutted away. Minky, though, is ported back in. He needs 1 kill for level 6, and now he's got it. Equalizer maybe going to come down, tries to cut off King, but he flashes over the top of it. Ejim can't find any more CS, and just the 1 kill.
Yeah, just no way to lock up King, even if he laid it across the wall there and stopped that retreat path. Had flash available, was going to be able to get away from the damage. The first kill, as you mentioned, pinged level 6. It looked like it would be an awkward interaction where he wouldn't be able to have level 6 during the fight. Still works out pretty well for Legacy.
Yeah, gets it, but can't get a follow-up kill. So a teleport there used aggressively by Minky, but does get his dual lane a kill as a result. And you know what? The Dragon's already been taken away. Not worried about that being taken as a counter.
Interesting to see him go for the Magic Pen boots. Obviously, a core of Rumble's kit will be the double magic penetration items, but doesn't really let him stand up against already a Sheen coming through from the Fizz. The big question is, now with 30 CSD advantage for Perfection, will this game reach a point where Rumble can't enter lane against the Fizz? That's when things look really bad for Legacy.
Well, we've actually swapped back now, so Perfection just saying hello there to Ejim, but we'll kind of bluff the recall. Ward there will spot him off, so Ejim probably going to deny these backs for a little while longer, and Ejim, you can tell, he knows what's up. Yep. Yeah, he's going to cancel. Actually gets fished, though, and doesn't have his ult. He's forced to flash away, and King is coming back now as well. Too much damage coming in, and Ejim gets baited himself. The kill goes to Perfection.
And the person baiting definitely got baited in that situation. Ejim having a bit of fun, but his own demise. Level 6 and level 5, very different levels for Alistar. Could shrug off that damage at level 6, not so much at level 5.
No, and Carbon going to rotate back in towards his own blue buff. Might just take it himself, given that Kennen is energy based there. Choo-Choo's could take it for the extra regen if he wants it, but probably unnecessary. And he's doing well in CS. That's the other thing to report here for Kennen and Xerath. Very even so far. Lots of early farming, and not sure who their favors, but they're both fine to get their early items going now.
I mean, Kennen can do a lot of things in the fight, but he's very gated around either getting a flank or having his flash available. Probably going to see very early distortion boots coming through, because Kennen, he can't just walk through the enemies into a fight. The box will come down for the massive slows. There's all sorts of CC coming out from the other members. In the top, though, we're seeing a really aggressive trade.
Minky are trading very well up against Perfection. No ulti here for the Fizz, and Minky might just get a solo kill. Does do so, and Minky, well, Perfection's the Rumble player. Minky is showing him what's up, though.
Yeah, I feel like Perfection just kind of misplayed in his use of the playful Trickster. You need to get damage trades before you go for the all-in. You're not AP Fizz. You're not about burst damage. You're all about consistent trades that the enemy team can't use to look to trade with, because Seastone Trident does that current health damage. It does a lot of consistent damage, but if you try and all-in a Rumble, you see what happens.
Yeah, and Minky, well, again, very practiced and pronounced on this Rumble here in the top side. Carbon looking as well, might even gank Perfection if he comes back to the lane here, and we've seen teams do this before, but Perfection getting a little bit camped now, potentially.
Perfection's definitely getting a lot of attention from multiple people. The Rek'Sai's on his side of the jungle, so he has to be careful. Ezreal's got the mana. It's worth noting, of course, the power trough has started for Tyler Weka. He starts to power up this mana moon. Not quite the tier. At least he has the mana moons for the faster stacking, but it does not compare to the BF sword and the extra 1,000 gold that King has in the bank.
Yeah, bit of a trade there. Pink ward will go down as, nope, has to give it up. Choo-Choo's will get it instead. Wants it badly, but actually maybe has to be careful. Can't auto-attack in E, but will get the ward out. And Sharp can't quite lock him down.
So Sharp, he's had another comfortable laning phase. We still haven't seen the really aggressive move from Kennen, but my goodness, we might see one now.
Yeah, Soulstrike's very aggressive, and Chuchu's forced to flash away. Soulstrike just comes in, burns a flash, and that's all he wants from his ulti.
And Chuchu's sitting on 2,300 gold, so he definitely doesn't have solo kill potential at this point. He needs to spend that gold, and it'll be interesting what his first purchase is. I'm guessing Abyssal Scepter.
We'll have to see here. Lots of gold banked up, of course, and Chuchu's getting poked out a little now as well, keeping healthy itch with some potions, but gets the cannon and just looks to go back. You think Minky in for coverage of the lane, actually, as Perfection's going to continue farming in the top side. A good little swap around does protect his tower, but Chuchu's even staying now.
You might ask, why are we seeing this from Chuchu? Why are we seeing the fact that he hasn't been able to look for a shop and the fact that Xerath has had multiple shops this game? The big factor, we already talked about it, the lack of wave clear coming through for the cannon. He just can't match the wave clear that comes through from Sharp, so he's just never found a spot to be able to back with the lane in a decent spot. He also has a massive first item purchase. Even though there's measures just coming through from the Athene's Unholy Grail, the big factor is this actually does give a semblance of wave clear, because now the Lightning Rush into the Electrical Surge should be AoE wave clear.
Perfection, though, is forced to use Playful Trickster, gets knocked up, though. Equalizer comes through with a good Urchin Strike, gets him clear of it for now. Minky wants to die, but can't complete it, and Perfection safe this time.
Minky did not manage his heat well in that situation. Overheated on the W, not on the Flame Spitter, so didn't have the damage to be able to turret dive, even with two very healthy, almost full health members in Rek'Sai and Rumble. Just a little bit of Rumble mechanics lapsing there from Minky.
Would have gone in, but certainly were tanking up, but didn't have that damage, like you said. And kind of looking through some of the items, Carbon doing it again. This is the second time it's gone for the skirmish, but Minky gets tagged by the fish on Perfection. Going to come in, and AD Fizz just so much damage. Playful Trickster down again, and Minky, this time he's the one getting solo kills.
And that's the thing I was expecting. That's what I thought would happen the first time. The item times haven't changed. In fact, he did not shop when he backed. But if you watch those cooldowns appropriately, you can see the damage potential.
Carbon charging forward, though, has used his smite, I believe, so going to get some damage down, but Perfection with his E up, just Playful Tricksters away.
It didn't have to use Flash. It was worth going for that damage trade. Returning to mid, with Abyssal Scepter, you have a bit more AoE wave clear. With that 20 magic resist reduction, it works on minions, so you can clear the minions much easier. You're still not Xerath. You still don't have basically on-command wave clear, but you still have the option.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a matter of Chuchu's doing fine in the lane, farming up, but what does he do in the first big team fight? The Dragon is back around as well. He's got an Abyssal, he doesn't quite have rank 2 ulti, but he's ready to go as far as the fight goes. Legacy got the first Dragon, can they get the second here?
He doesn't have Flash, so probably not a lot of patience time until that ability is about. You're not going to walk through the box in particular. You're not going to walk through all the other disengaged CC unless there's a big warding disadvantage by Direwolves. They need to watch their wards and watch their flanks.
Sharp almost getting locked down, though. Ulti is popping, he gets stunned and isn't in range for one last bolt. It was a good idea, but now Chuchu's might have got caught out of position, but they're going to go back in onto Sharp. The ultimate down there for Minky. Chuchu's gets hooked there, but Carbon picks up the kill on the Sharp. Chuchu's will go down, but Ejim's in the back, tanking as much as he can, but Carbon is going to go down to King. Now Soulstrike's getting low, but Minky is going to fall down. Too many tower hits getting tanked. Sivir gets a double kill and a 3-1 win for Direwolves.
The disengage E from Sharp was the real MVP there. Then Direwolves rotated much faster. You'd expect that. They have the Sivir. Only now is Ezreal rotating. Might be able to cancel out this Dragon because the members are falling low, but it was a big team fight for Direwolves.
Perfection's got his ulti. They've got to be so careful because if he lands it onto Ezreal, he's going to die. They are going to come in for something here because Ejim is ready to go. He's very healthy. He does come in. Can't get the Dragon, but gets the double knock-up. Tallywhacker, though, too afraid of the Sivir. Gets fished as well. Ejim going to get down. Tally might even get chased down as well. Playful Trickster comes in. That's going to force the flash and another kill and the Dragon, but Minky has come around the side. Soulstrike's going to go down to Tallywhacker. Perfection should be okay. I'm not sure Legacy are okay with that trade, though.
I mean, see, the single death is definitely not good for Legacy. They wanted more exit kills. They're looking for more, but probably too aggressive.
Minky almost gets hooked as well. King is still around as well, ready to output some damage. Legacy going to try and get a tower trade. Maybe Perfection does go back in, but just kind of baiting and clearing out waves with his E. Direwolves do have to hold down here without Xerath. It's a bit tricky for them to clear waves with everyone else, so Legacy picking the right tower to try and take out.
They definitely look to be. They're getting a lot of pressure. This should be the turret coming down. It's the first turret of the game, unbelievably, at 15 minutes. 2 Dragons down, 1 apiece. But that's the first turret and the first bit of global gold coming through for Legacy.
So very even now as Direwolves are up about 700 gold, but under 1,000 gold at this point in the game is very minimal as far as leads go. Legacy trying to steal away the blue buff, though could be a bit too aggressive. Chopper and Soulstrikes are in the area. Xerath rotating down as well. He's the one that wants the buff, but Carbon is going to take it away. Chopper gets the hook, but Minky just safe for now.
A lot of long cooldowns not available for either team, so probably not able to judge accurately their power. That's the time when the aggressive team will make the advantages. so often Legacy have been the ones to make aggressive rotations.
Equalize it down as well. Sharp going to get lined up for a pulverize. Massive knockups coming in, and Choo-Choo's going to find the flank. Just stuns up Perfection. Zones him completely out of the fight. The ulti comes in for Tally. Perfection gets stunned again, but will be safe, and it's only a kill, but Legacy going to try the 5v4 push.
But for such a wonderful layering of ultimates, that's the minimum they could have gotten. Once again, Choo-Choo's just now gets flash available. Was completely irrelevant for a second engage. It was lovely work from the other members. You can see the potential of this comp if you're fighting in chokes like that, but that's the thing. You should not be fighting in chokes like that if you're Direwolves.
Oh, King, good spell shield there. Keeps him safe, but EGM on point with those initiations. Moby Boots up already on that Alistar, and he's so scary. And Legacy, crucially with Sharp dead, get the mid lane turret.
And if Legacy can keep engineering situations like that with their aggressive wards to be able to get picks in choke points, they can absolutely win fights. But there's so much wave clear on the Direwolves side. That will never happen in the open. If they can force fights in the open, if they can move away from these jungle engages where they're burning down the path trying to disengage of the Equalizer, the Direwolves will find a much better time. Sivir and Xerath, that's instant wave clear at any point in the game.
Yeah, and a pretty interesting adaptation by Italian now as well. That looks to be blue build coming through there. That's a Sheen and a spare mana crystal, so going for the Iceborne Gauntlet, you have to think.
I mean, the blue build's interesting to me just because I don't know how that's going to help him peel off Fizz. Of course, Fizz doesn't max Playful Trickster first in the AD build, but he maxes it second, so he will still have a pretty good ability to gap close even through the slows consistently coming out of the Iceborne Gauntlet. It'll help him peel Scion off, but it's a jungle Scion that realistically a full AD carry build should be able to DPS down. And the other situations, it doesn't seem to add very much. So I would have preferred the Trinity Force just for a bit more turret damage. Because when they get these picks, they need to be taking out as many structures as possible. Because when the picks don't come, those structures, they're going to stay healthy.
Yeah, and I like this adaptation as well. Perfection, also not that good wave. So Tallyback are going to come in. Perfection might be baited in. He actually does go back in. Massive damage. Those Choo-Choos going to just lightning rush back into the mid. EGM is here. Fish did land onto Tallyback, but Perfection knows what's up now and is going to back towards this turret.
It's 3 members committed, not for the kill potential, though it was a smart bait coming through from EGM. It's to get this last outer turret. Finally, we're seeing rotations come through. But this is one of the things we talked about in the pregame. The rotational team is definitely Legacy. Direwolves, they prefer the long laning phase. They're always slow to these rotations. They even fall behind in gold, despite having massive CS advantages, because they often get out-rotated. And this game is no exception.
And that third outer turret, crucially there, taken out by Legacy. So the outer ring now filled, so much more space for Legacy to move around, and a team that's already rotating well now as they've to pick things up in games 2 and now 3 of the series. I mean, King will get an answering turret here in his Sivir, but ulti from Mickey might even deny that. He'll move forward, make sure to take it out, so does get it in the end, but just too much movement here for Legacy, getting the turret advantage now.
Only the first turret coming through for the Direwolves. They're ahead in kills, but still very even in gold. You worry, though, that now that they've opted into Blue Ezreal, they kind of have to use the earlier power spike. Because Blue Ezreal, once you have Last Whisper, you're basically good to go. There's still other items that come through to help power up the build, but you're at a very early, cheap power spike that definitely will come an item ahead of King, you'd have to imagine. If you don't take advantage of that and the Fizz actually manages to get tankiness to supplement the Trinity Force damage, and the fact that you can't really peel off a Fizz unless you're... I mean, look, this is EGM on Alistar, so anything's possible, but it's still very, very difficult to peel off a Fizz. In fact, you can Playful Trickster during the headbutt animation to completely stop the displacement. If this Fizz can get tankiness to supplement the damage, you worry about the damage coming through from Legacy.
And I'm fairly curious as to what Perfection's second item is going to be here. Is he going to go tanky? Will he go more carry? I have to think it's probably Frozen Heart. I believe has been the most popular second choice as Carbon ultis into the top lane trying to defend those precious turrets.
I don't think it can be Frozen Heart though, Patient Time. This is double AP and then basically a magic damage Ezreal if he's opting into Iceborne Golem. The only physical damage is coming through from Carbon, so you don't want an Abyssal Scepter, but you kind of do.
I mean, he might go for it. It's sort of interesting here, and he'll have to make
Hex Drinker is worth a consideration. Maybe that will be the AD adaptation, but Frozen Heart, you want it just because it builds so well, gives you that 20% CDR to be a faux AP Fizz when it comes to mobility, but probably not going to be able to fit it into the build, at least early.
Nash's Tooth, let's do it. Needs some cool
Oh boy, those auto attacks.
I mean, something here, there's no real MR CDR item, right? Just thinking off the top of my head is Perfection. Gonna dive in, Mickey on the top line. Equalizer comes down, overheat though, but Perfection, little too deep there, forced to flash away, and Minky, he's safe for now.
I feel like he could have gone for the engage and lived. It would have been a very hard juggling act because you don't have a lot of health apart from the health on the Phage and your Trinity Force, but he's over half health, and Minky was falling towards about 30%. Too defensive, I think, to use the flash.
Yeah, but Minky now not able to join in any sort of fight. Perfection Could join in if he wants, but he'd likely be there first, given the pressure Minky's currently under. And Ejim is lining something up. He goes in. Massive headbutt pulverize, and there's 2 kills easily as Choo Choo's dives right in. And we see all the time why Ejim loves this Alistar.
They got Alistar there, did they, Pastry Town? I don't like to use abilities as a verb, but, well, champions as a verb, but that's exactly what happened. The headbutt pulverize out of nowhere. Flash headbutt pulverize, no less. He makes it look easy, and that's going to be a free dragon for Legacy.
I think it's a discredit. They got Ejim'd there, did Direwolves there. Just so good looking on this Alistar, and that is their second dragon now. Sharp got to be careful. Actually walking past the ward might get Ejim once again. Soul Strike's the next target, though. He's going to get CC'd up if Choo Choo's can find enough marks of the Storm. Does finally not get it there as he moves in for the slow carbon. Gets the knockup. They're going back in, but Soul Strike's very tanky. Sharp, though, could be in trouble as Perfection's going to teleport in. Who can he find? The W moves in. Ejim quite low here as Perfection gets exhausted, immediately stunned. Will land, though. The blue buff goes all the way back over, but Perfection's diving in. He gets the first kill. Carbon going to be looked to chase and had a tunnel there just in case to save him, but he can't go anywhere else. So 2 answering kills for the Wolves.
2 answering kills. Up 2 for 2, I guess, in an extended fight. So not too much loss for the Direwolves. Still only the 3 turrets. They had 3 outer turrets down very early into this game. But crucially, Direwolves have managed to wrestle a lot of the other control back.
Yeah, Minky Well is probably not able to push this wave out. Does actually use his ultimate there, but gets hooked by Chopper. Great wave clear there. He gets fished all by Perfection. He's going to get dove on, and Perfection takes him out. Turret falls as well, and Sharp didn't even need his ulti.
Yeah, the burst was big. It's going to be a second damage item, you can see, with the Bilgewater Cutlass finished for Fizz. Blade of the Ruined King procs so well with you. In the moment that the reason why AD Fizz was opened up, of course, is that now physical and magic damage is amplified when you hit that fish. So, of course, it's doing so much damage with just the Blade of the Ruined King proc, let alone the consistent damage. It's got health damage upon health damage with the Sea Stone Trident and the Blade of the Ruined King. It's not going to be tanky. And just answering an earlier point, there is still Spirit Visage, but doesn't really work so well with Fizz's kit.
True too, but yes, doesn't really work the way you'd want it to. I knew there was one. Knew I could count on you, Papa Smithy, but the Jax build instead here for Fizz, if you will. Trinity Force into Blade of the Ruined King.
I mean, even Jax is now go from Trinity Force into Frozen Heart or Randoms because it's such a high-risk build. But when you got Playful Trickster, the ability to become untargetable to gap close, even does a decent amount of burst damage. You can afford to go risky, but it's, you know, if you misjudge, as apparently Perfection misjudged under the turret where he's forced to flash, he's already misjudged damage actually a previous time when he was solo killed by Minky Whale. You need to know exactly your damage potential. You need to practice this AD Fizz because it does deceptive damage, but it's not the old AP Fizz deletion.
No, and Blade of the Ruined King is up now for Perfection, so lots of damage coming through here early on. 5, 1, and 4 already in this game. Just over 23 minutes in, so a scary looking fish again. Another Perfection carry champion, not a big tank like Nautilus this time. Much more in line with the Hecarim, although obviously a very different champion on Fizz.
And you look down the item builds, no one can split push against Perfection. Now, not even Rek'Sai. I thought, okay, Rek'Sai's got a semi-global, that's fine. No armor completed. Okay, Fizz does a lot of magic damage, but hell, he does a lot of physical damage at this point. And anyone being sent up is going to be instantly regretting it.
And Minky Whale, who's split pushing himself, might regret it here as King is on top of him. He actually used the equalizer. King has to be careful, but Soul Strikes is there to make sure he dies. Sharp even comes in with the ulti as Tallywhacker joins in the global party, but another kill there, and Minky, his 4th death of the game.
So Perfection doesn't have teleport. Minky did, so he could have tried to answer. Egypt, he's on the case.
Knockup's coming through, but King is in here, and Shuffer pretty low, but will box around. Might be okay here, but Pro Seeker's going to come in.
They're going to leave it for us.
Going to keep getting shaded up. Tallywhacker there, coming around the side, able to pick up the kill, and a nice donation there by Legacy.
I saw Ezreal on the minimap, and they were like, this is a great way for him to be moving, because now Blue Ezreal gets closer. In fact, an important power spike, Mirror Mana, is completed. The Blue Ezreal poke's definitely going to be doing work. The question is, can they stop this Fizz?
We'll see. I mean, the Gauntlet done as well. Legacy, if they wanted to group right now, have hit a lot of their crucial mid-game timings, but Fizz is kind of going to delay that mid-game for as long as possible. Ejim headbutts back Sion, but Perfection is still pushing, and he's the real problem.
Okay, Carbon tries to catch Sharp, isn't able to do it. Sharp still has his flash, which could be very crucial. Choo Choo's no flash yet, doesn't have distortion boots. I think that's going to be a critical factor this game. As Legacy, they're looking for a fight.
Yeah, I mean, they have to here. They want to stay grouped as much as they can, because Perfection, if he keeps pushing, is just going to continue to cause problems in the top lane of the map. But Scuttlecrab goes down, Carbon will back away, and I love what King's doing. He knows that they're split pushing anyway with Perfection, so he's continuing to take empty land farm on the other side, because they're just chasing the fish around the map right now.
He has no defensive wards whatsoever. This is why he's a feast or famine AD carry. He has excellent mechanics, and he just doesn't have any cares when it comes to split pushing without vision. He's going to finally back away, but all the vision in that area is blue vision. and that King is just the sort of person to try and push advantage. In this case, definitely a good thing.
Yeah, and managed to get a lot of extra CS, 196 up to 174. Doesn't have the 3 kills, but 7 assists, not too bad for the AD carries here. And they're looking fine. I mean, short-range AD carries, fairly mobile in a team fight. If you set them up well, they'll do plenty of damage. But setup is the big thing here. Chuchu's isn't able to have big ultimates, apart from the big ganky setup there by Ejim. I mean, defensive items coming through for Carbon. Minky really powering along. They're very far behind as far as item build goes. Next Dragon's up in a minute 5, and I don't know if Legacy is strong enough to fight for it.
So Legacy, you see those engages from Alistar, and you wonder, how do you counter that? When you flash WQ, we're talking about 1,000 range of gap close, a mini Malphite ultimate. How do you counter it? The way you counter it, you can see on the minimap what Direwall's done here. They have pink warded all their flanks around Sharp. Suddenly, Sharp is super safe because all the flanks, there's 5 pink wards on the map that they've maintained here, and they are all pink wards to stop a flank engage from either Cannon or Alistar.
And Sharp even aggressively moving behind the Dragon, now helping King and Shoffer, who are pushing out the bottom side. Might look for a gank. There's a good ward there from the upgraded blue trinket, actually.
Legacy have to force this Dragon because they have no one to stand up to perfection.
But he's going to get some towers. It could even teleport in for the team fight, so have to be careful here. But Legacy already grouping in Ejim. Actually going in already with Carbon, with the teleports are coming in now as well. Chuchu's looking to pop the ultimate. I already used it, actually. Now Minky getting locked up by Soul Strikes. The fish lands in, but Chuchu's does use his on his Tallywhacker coming in, trying to do the damage, and Soul Strikes will go down. Perfection, not quite dead. It actually gets rumbled, but gets stunned up immediately by Chuchu's as Ejim looking to go down. Does fall there to Thresh, actually, but Tallywhacker coming back in, gonna get another kill as Carbon will take that one, and a bloodbath here in a 3-for-3 trade. Tallywhacker going back in, but King with the spell shield healing in, trying to get aggressive, but Sharp still chasing around. Full health and mana is the Xerath, and Tally has to be so careful. Next Q doesn't quite land Sharp. No ultimate yet. I think it's coming back soon. But Chuchu's still moving in. Sharp, if he had his ulti, he'd be trying to kill people, but I don't think it's quite back yet. No, used it already.
It's a very significant factor, though. In this 2v2, the hyper-mobile Ezreal and Kennen are not able to outpressure a Sivir-Xerath combination with Sivir's ultimate down. Xerath already fairly immovable. Sharp has really stood up this game. He was given comfort, and he's playing well.
Yeah, and now it looks like the second Dragon going to be attempted here by Dials, but teleports in for Minky. Carbon's already ulted down as well. A little too much global pressure here in Legacy. Probably going to strong-arm Dials off this second Dragon and take their third.
And Perfection has to walk down. Used his teleport in the previous engage. That's what Minky bought by walking down. Legacy having 5 members, got them ward coverage. Remember, there was 5 ping wards. There isn't now.
Good steal there for Carbon. Gets the third Dragon for Legacy, but Perfection going to line up an ulti if he gets it. Equalizer comes through. Ejim has been caught off, though. Going to take a little too much damage with no ultimate left to use, and will go down. Ulti a little too far off cooldown.
And 1 kill for the third Dragon. Good for Legacy. So they are able to get the Dragon they were angling for. Third Dragon means movement speed. That should be a significant factor. It will help their rotations against Sivir, who's been so quick.
Yeah, and that Fish as well, who's just been anchored to the top lane for most of it, although Perfection joining a few more fights now around the Dragon area. It does have a Warden's Mail now, so building in towards tanky items. Could be the Frozen Heart, could be the ranged ones. Either choice fine here for Perfection, I think.
Choice is fine, but he's still dangerously low on the magic resist, I think. Sitting at 86 magic resist, which is comfortable. I believe Fizz still has magic resist per level scaling as a melee champion, so that's at least a source of magic resist. And he has the Merc Treads, but doesn't really naturally build magic resist into the build like we mentioned. We're talking about maybe a Hex Drink of a cost-effective Perfection, though.
He has got caught up by Carbon, actually, but will Playful Trickster away. Tallywhack is here as well. Carbon trying to find it at Perfection. Good Blade of the Ruin King active keeps Carbon away and doesn't even need the Lantern offered by Chuffer.
It takes multiple members to stop his split push. That's what you have to remember, is that he's forcing the hand for Legacy in terms of their rotations. These are not the aggressive rotations for turrets that we saw 2 days ago, or the smart rotations for picks last game. These are necessary rotations because they have no answer, no single member answer with a global, despite having 2 to deal with this Fizz.
Just trying to keep up with Perfection. It's been a tall order for Legacy in the last 10 to 15 minutes, and I guess the bad news is he's only getting stronger. Doesn't want to leave the top lane yet. Dragon down, of course, so doesn't really need to be anywhere else because Baron is the other objective, and he's going to be on the top lane anyway. I'm not sure what the answer is for Legacy. If they find some good teamfights, they can kind of brute force Direwolves out of it, but they're playing around this Fish. They're playing very carefully together.
And Direwolves, I feel like they should just return King to the bottom lane, go for the 1-3-1. They've had the wards on their flanks for a long time. They shouldn't be afraid of the pick potential of either Kennen or Alistair because they've smartly warded for it. Now that they're pushing in, suddenly they don't have that much defensive wards, and Alistair's on the flanks.
Yeah, Perfection may be looking for a dive, but Ejim wants in. Carbon going to move in as well. Chuffer will be the first target there, but Soul Strike's ulti's back in. Chuchu's gets his ulti down, pops his Zhonya's, but it's a little too much damage made. Perfection not quite getting sun. A great Q there as Minky. Zhonya's is just in time to knock her down, but will fall eventually to Xerath. Tallywacker in the backside trying to kill Perfection, but the fish diving around everywhere as he gets another kill. Xerath picking up the double in and amongst the mass, and Tally, the only one left alive, eats a Q and almost goes down, and that's a big win for the Wolves.
You just can't peel away Perfection. That's the thing. You go Blue Ezreal, you think, all right, the melee divers, they won't be able to do damage to me. You can't account for playful tricks. It completely negates all the slows coming through from the Iceborne Gauntlet build. The extra armor, good luck with that, and it's going to be an inhibitor for Direwolves.
You know what? It's not Kassadin, but it feels very similar at this point for Perfection's Fears. Unpeelable, massive carry champion from the top lane. That's got Perfection written all over it.
And remember, this looked like a good initiation. Insignificantly, though, the Alistair only hit the thresh. They were able to disengage from a lot of this damage. Then Perfection shows up. He gets the first exit kill after very nice layering AoE damage coming through from Sharp. He continues to fight in the front line, and he just doesn't fall down. He's already deceptively tanky. He can shrug off a lot of damage with the Randuin's, sorry, the Warden's mail. Sion, he dies in the front line tanking up turret, but that's the perfect person to die, honestly. And a big fight for Direwolves.
And now Baron getting rushed down by both teams. It looks like Legacy are going to beat Direwolves to the punch, so they might just start it here. A little bit desperate, but they're kind of getting to that point in the game. 6,000 goal behind. They will start it. King is crucially in the bottom side of the map, which might be the biggest reason why. Sharp throws a couple of ultis and gets good damage down. But Soul Strikes moves in, and Legacy are forced to disengage the Baron.
They have to disengage. Of course, that magic resist debuff does still come through from the Baron, so taking a lot of damage from the right of the Arcane from Sharp. They back away. King is going to get to this fight soon. Hasn't popped the ultimate. Is going to walk up and get there. Legacy, you have to think they're going for one last big engage.
Rek'Sai coming in. They might want it here. The lineup, the ulti is getting used, but the Sharp actually just gets an easy kill onto Rumble. Xerath kiting away Carbon, but Soul Strikes will peel off for Imperfection. That's found Chuchu's with his ulti in Egypt, trying to tank what he can, but Chuffer and King diving onto Tally. A massive ult there from Chuchu's to peel, though now Perfection going to move in, but he's just too strong. Gets the next kill. Massive kill from Sharp. Egypt going to be the last to fall. They can't even get Perfection, and that's the ace.
I don't know how he finds assassins that can cause so much split pressure like this consistently. He had Hecker and Respect banned against him. They added Kassadin to the 4. It's still not enough, and Perfection 10-2 and 9. He's willing Direwolves over the line.
Yeah, teleports down as well, gets the turret, might even get a few more as Sharp and Soul Strikes come into the base as well. 2 seconds left on Minky. I don't know if he can defend it. 10 seconds left for anyone else to come. The Nexus now exposed. Minky going to dive in onto Sharp, but Q lined up there, does use his zonies, but Perfection just going to try and finish the game. It's not quite a Peke, but he doesn't need it. The Nexus will fall, and the Direwolves go up 2-1.
The Direwolves, they have to look to their top lane for the carry, and once again, it's Perfection. What a wonderful performance from him. We mentioned 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, who are you going to send against Perfection? The answer was nobody, as you could plainly see. There's nothing Rumble could do in a 1v1. If they sent multiple members there, it undid a lot of what is the Legacy strength. It's aggressive rotations. You can't rotate when no one can stand up to the Fizz, and then he got tanky, and that's the scary thing. Living through these fights, doing consistent damage. It's not burst, but man, it won them the game.
Yeah, and that was the big thing sort of moving through the rest of it is like, you know, he's just so strong, couldn't split push, and Legacy tried to group and fight him, and unfortunately at that point, Perfection was more than happy to team fight as well.
And that's the thing for a split pusher. If you can have the situation where they have to spend multiple members to deal with you, it opens up safe farm for your other allies. It allows you to move up your pink wards. Had 5 pink wards up on the map for a very long time. We'll see a replay, but the Direwolves in general, they played around Perfection so smart, and that was what won them this game. So this is another one of those situations. Look at Perfection's build at this point. This is the last fight. Trinity Force, Blade the Ruined King, even managed to get a Negatron cloak. We wondered where the magic was just going to come from. It's just the cost-effective choice with the 850 gold. And he can just do so many things. He's so damn tanky. So we'll roll the tape. This is after there had already been a to and fro from the Baron. They're actually on the Baron. Now, Minky, he's the big one here. He tries to get the Baron harassed, but he dies instantly. So this is already a 5v4. And you just watch Perfection in this fight. He forces Chuchus to defensively Zhonya's. He'll reactivate the ultimate. He does get a fairly good slicing maelstrom, you have to think, especially given the fact that he didn't have the ultimate available. But Perfection, he's on low health, but doesn't matter. Sharp, he's back on the Xerath. He looks so much more comfortable this game. Navigates a lot of the earlier tension. Didn't quite have the Ejim roam to mid that game. maybe they need it, because when Sharp's on comfort and Perfection gets a top lane carry, Direwolves, they look good, and now they're 2-1 up.
Yeah, and that feels like the biggest difference is just Sharp when he gets picked on. Just a different player. I mean, Perfection, sure, massive carry, can do wonderful things from the top lane, but they couldn't shut him down. I mean, who do you ban now? You've got too many champions for Perfection. You want to take Sharp off comfort, but he's got quite a few champions. It's a struggling situation now for Legacy moving into the next game.
I'm going to give one piece of advice. Ban the Hecarim.
Yeah, we'll see if they ban the Hecarim, because we are going to move into game 4 after a quick commercial break. The Dials, though, one game left to make it to the finals. We'll see you soon.